rectification of error, and this time we would be doing some practice relating to the suspense account. We know very well that in the presence of suspense account, the financial statements will not be giving the true and fair picture of the accounting phenomena. Why? Because suspense account means that there is a difference in trial balance, and difference in trial balance means that there is some error in any of the accounting heads appearing in the trial balance. So the important thing is to get rid of this suspense account. Okay? So how to get rid of this suspense account, we will learn in this module through a practice question. Let's see that in this practice question, Tipu's trial balance at 31st October X9 is out of agreement with the credit side totaling rupees 1,610. Okay. So this 1,610 is lesser than the debit side. Okay. So credit side lesser than the debit side means that this difference is appearing in the credit side of trial balance. Well, that's fine. Upon investigation, now we need an investigation. Upon investigation, we got to know that debit side of the purchases account, okay, debit side of the purchases account for October had been overcast by 1,050. All right. The second thing is rent expense for 240 had been debited to the rent income account. This is a mistake. This should have been debited to the rent expense account. We are debiting to the rent income account. Let's see how to settle this issue. Then the third issue is the provision for doubtful debts, which was increased by 280, had been recorded in the provision for doubtful debts account as a decrease. Okay. This is also an issue that needs to be discussed. All right. So first of all, just look into this 1,610. This is the amount with which credit side is lesser than the debit side. So this will be appearing in the credit side of the suspense account. This is suspense account, and we have to open this suspense account by bringing forward balance of difference from the trial balance. We have already discussed this thing that if this balance is appearing in the credit side of the trial balance, it means that it is a credit balance. So it will be reopened in the suspense account, putting this in the credit side, and vice versa. Okay. Well, so purchases account overcast by 1,050. Purchases account overcast, debit side of the purchase account for October had been overcast by 1,050. So if purchase account is overcast, now we will credit this to the purchases account, and its debit will be given to the suspense account. That's why this suspense account is being debited over here. The next issue is rent expense 240 had been debited to the rent income account. See, instead of debiting rent expense, we have debited rent income. It means there is no suspense account involved in this. Its rectification will be rent income, which was wrongly debited, will now be credited, and rent expense account will be debited. So there is no effect of suspense account in this second issue. Well, in the third issue, provision for doubtful debt, which was increased by 280, means bad debts should have been debited and provision account should have been credited. Okay, had been recorded in the provision for doubtful debt account, means bad debt have been correctly recorded. Only there is an issue with the provision for doubtful debt account as a decrease. Okay, so when we are saying that provision for doubtful debt account is being decreased, instead of being increased. So it means that we have debited provision for doubtful debt account. So now we have to credit this provision for doubtful debt account with double amount. And this double amount is 560. All right. So this 560 and this 1050 in the debit side gives us 1610. And this 1610 altogether, the balance of suspense account is nil. So that's what we worked out, that the suspense account we will be taking from the trial balance, the difference from trial balance. If that was appearing in the credit side, it will be put in the credit side of the suspense account. And then we will work out different rectifications in which this suspense account would be involved. So the important tips to remember in this module are that amount of difference appearing in the debit side of trial balance should be placed in the debit side of suspense account. And if it is appearing in the credit side of trial balance, it will be placed in the credit side of the suspense account at the time when we have to eliminate this suspense account. So the other accounting effects will be put in the suspense account, and the suspense account should be eliminated, giving us zero balance. And the second thing is that trial balance is not a ledger account. This is a great confusion, big confusion that mostly students face. They say that, look, if there is a balancing figure in the trial balance credit side, it should be taken to the debit side of a T account. This is a wrong concept. This is the concept when we are having a balance in a T account. Trial balance is not a T account. It is a list of balances. Okay? So in a list of balances, if there is a balance in the credit side, it means it's a credit balance. It is not a debit balance. Please make this concept very clear. And if there is a difference in the debit side, we will call it as a balance in the debit side. So that is a debit balance, because all the balances in the debit side are the debit balance. So if difference is appearing in the debit side of trial balance and that is being represented by suspense account, so that should be named as a debit balance of suspense account. Okay? And when we have to open it to eliminate that suspense account, we will open it in the debit side of the suspense account. All right? So thank you very much for being attentive.